Just me and my guitar.
Okay guys, we're back in the workshop. As you can see now, I put a nice little black trim all the way around the bottom there, the same as I did on the top, which is smarting things up, and it's giving it a nice big square. It's a foot square, 30 by 30, viewing window on the front and on the sides as well. So we've got a nice little viewing window there now with that opaque back there. Should look quite nice when the when we get those backing lights on. But what I was going to do today, I'm just going to shift you over this way a bit, because if you can see on the top, it's just a little bit proud in places. Now I've got a router, so I can just buzz that around there and just take that off straight away. But for those of you who haven't got routers, just grab yourself one of these blades, okay, and just literally scrape it like that, you see, and you'll get those shavings coming off, and you'll take all those saw marks out. And do it both ways. And as you can see, you've got some little spots there, little high spots left. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to cheat and do the router. I'm going to do it the old way, just to try and keep this as much of a DIY sort of build that you can do yourselves, and just take off that surrounding rough edges there before we make the lid. Right, there you go guys, it's all nicely smooth now all the way around the top there. We had a couple of little areas there where it was just slightly higher, and you saw as I was scraping there with my little blade, I was just slicing off layer by layer until we got those nice and even. And then I went down to some 600 paper, which I've got a piece around here somewhere. That's the stuff I use. Very, oh no, that's 400, that one, sorry. I used the 400 first, and I've got some 1200 somewhere, which is even finer. And we'll get him all polished up around the edges, and then we can get the old blowtorch on there and flame polish that all up, and it'll come back lovely and clear. And look, just the job. Now what I'm going to use for this build, guys, is a little tiny pump called a MaxiJet Micro. Now I've used these before when I've built people little water features. I made something with like a series of logs stepping down with the water cascading down, and I use these in the sump right in the base to pump the water up. They got not a bad little head height on them, and they range from, I think it's about 120 or 140 litres an hour at minimum, and then at maximum litres an hour is 400 litres an hour on the maximum there. And they're little dear little pumps they are, but they're super little guys, absolutely amazing little pumps. And this is the size of it to my hand, very, very small. But what I'm going to do with this, it's got the suckers on the side there, is going to fit into there like that, nice and tidy in there like that, in the top. It's been a little bit stubborn at the moment because of what I've got to do. Where that's stuck in there like that, I've got to drill a hole now through the base. I'll set you up differently in a minute, you'll be able to see it a bit better. And then we're going to put some clear acrylic. I'm going to have to drill a hole through here for that base to go through into the tank underneath. And then underneath I'm going to put some acrylic tube. Now I've got a length of it here. I've bought a metre of it. Now that stuff is going to fit just nicely on there. It's a little bit of a gap in there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to acrylic glue that to it, because then we can just lift it out as and when we can take the cup off the base. But that's where that's going for the time being. I'll be able to get that on there. It's not too bad of a fit. And the same on there as well for the spray bar. I'm just going to have to get that a little bit, take that down a little bit. Right, the great thing with these little pumps is, guys, now if I want to take this out at any time, they're great because they've got like a little clip on each side there. You see one there and one there, and you just pop that and that comes off. Your pump and the impeller comes straight off, and that's going to leave that part then inside the actual the rear of the aquarium there. I'll be able to lift that straight out, and everything around here as well, and you can just take it all apart for cleaning still, because it comes with two separate little parts to it. Now if you don't want to use them like that, they got this other little fancy bit that goes on there with just a single one on, and then that little, sorry, it's out of focus there, then that little regulator goes on there. Then you can turn it from 140 up to 400 litres an hour on your adjuster there, but you can't do the adjuster when you've got that piece on, because it's just a complete flow straight through. You see, it just lifts it up the tube and blows it out that way. We could rig up a little valve system in there to slow it down or speed it up depending on how much water we want. I could put a little tap in there of some kind, but at the moment what I'm going to do is now I'm going to drill a hole through there, and we're going to get that bit fitted in there. Okay, right, going to drill a hole now through the base. Just like that, through there. Get rid of the old shavings. Right, the hole's all drilled. I've just stuck that onto that lift tube now, see? So that is now going to go down through the back there, then into the tank. Not all the way to the bottom. Just going to keep it about, obviously we're going to have substrate in there as well, so we've got to allow for all those things, and we can always trim it off later on to the exact height that we want it. But that's all glued in place now, that little lift tube now, so that little pump's going to sit on top of there. So I'm going to leave that dry, and then we're going to work out what to do with this spray bar system now. Nice long length of that left, so we can actually make some kind of spray bar to go up the top there. But we've got a nice piece of that pipe, so once that's dry I'll come back and we can carry on with the build. What I've done is I've cut some more pieces on the saw now. Okay, so they're going to just, I'm going to glue those together now on the angles like that. That one on there, and then that one, sorry, that one on there, and then that one on there, which is going to go to the pump, but it's going to be up that angle because we need to drop that pump right down inside so we can get a lid on it to hide it all away. So I'm going to glue these up now, same as before, just by getting them in place, getting the syringe, let our capillary action draw it inside like we've done on the other videos that you've seen, and stick these guys together. Okay, right, there you go, that's a bit better. Stuck him together now, so that part's going to go from the pump now, going to come up inside. I'm going to glue him on there like that, and then we're going to cut that off there, and we're going to run it through the tank in a minute. But I'll show you that in a second. I'm just going to let this go off again. Going to give it a bit of time to go off. It's very thin acrylic, it's quite hard to stick together, this stuff. You can see the wall on it, it's only about 1 mil thick, so I'm going to leave that for quite some time to really go off hard, and then I'll get back to you. Okay. Right then guys, I've set you up on a different angle now. You can see that little pump there, it's got the suckers on. I fixed it in there so we can keep that nice and flush with the lid. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably cut a little tiny V shape out of here, because we're going to have to get this cable through. That's got to go down a little bit, so we can just take that down through there a little bit. I'll just do that with my grinding wheel. I'll just take a little piece out of there. Now as you saw, I just glued this all up before. Now we're all nice and solid, and now what you'll see what I've done is I've brought that so that will fit onto the tube there, and when that's fixed it'll come all the way along like that, you see, up on the angle. So we've got the pump below the surface here so we can get our lid on, and we're going to drill a series of holes here and a series of holes at the back as well, like a twin row of holes going in that way and going in that way, so we get a nice fan spray coming out, which is going to soak that media nicely and give us some good filtration. I've got to block up the end, so that's going to be done simply with a bit of acrylic glue again, and just cut another piece of fine acrylic off and glue it onto the end, and that'll work just the job. That'll work just the job. Right, as you can see now, all the edges are nice and smooth all the way around. You've got to watch acrylic because it is quite sharp when you cut it as well. And if you do this, when I said about the scraping, wear a pair of gloves, because if you scrape your finger along the top of there, that edge is like a blade and that will just cut your finger as well. So be really careful with that, alright guys? Make sure you wear a glove when you're doing this sort of work. I've just taken my daughter down to McDonald's. Come back with a nice little festive coffee. It's freezing in the workshop here tonight. Saturday night it is here. Obviously this is going to be, you'll be seeing this tomorrow, Sunday. I'll be releasing this one tomorrow, as you guys know, if you watched the last video. Right now, Mark, think, what was I doing? Right, when I got this pipe, guys, I bought it, it's 15 mil. Now, if you're familiar with the sponge filters that I've got in the shrimp room, they run, where are they? I've got one around here I can show you. The ones with all the T-pieces on, and they got the sponges that go up on each side, the twin sponge filters. Now they run 15 mil acrylic, or plastic that is, tubing on those. I had a couple of spare ones kicking about. Now I've taken off one of the ends there now, which will fit really nicely onto there. Okay, so now when we put just get the pump goes through that hole there, and then that fits onto there. Sorry, that way up. I'll get it right in a minute. Turn that round. Then that fits onto there. That drops down into there. And it all suctions in place, just like that. So now all we've got to do We've got to seal it around the pump end. That's all stuck in there nicely. Now we've got to drill a series of holes across there and across there, like I just said before, so we get our nice little spray coming out, and then we can get ready for a test fill then and make sure it's all running perfectly and tweak anything that needs tweaking. I don't know if you can see it any better there, but that's going to give us a nice little spray bar now. So all this is going to be encased. And I think while we're here, a little bit more. Right, there we go. Now will sit nicely in that little recess there, you see. So if I get that other piece of acrylic there, like the lid, this isn't actually going to be the lid, but I'm going to make a lid now with some more black, which is going to go over there, and then we're going to hinge that. I've got some nice little acrylic hinges. Right guys, so basically that's what it is now. We've got the tube now that goes in like that, and now we've got the pump now, which is going to go up and spray at that side and at that side. So now we've got to take that off of there. I'm going to shoot off now, and I'm going to drill a series of holes along here and along here, okay? And for this job I'm going to use my little whip tool again, with a nice little small drill piece in there, little small drill bit in there off of the little work zone tool. Super genius these little tools are. I do so much work with them, it's unreal. Now all I'm going to do now is just hold that there and just carefully drill a series of holes all the way along there, okay? Right then guys, there you go. There's all the holes drilled. 2 sets of holes along the bottom there. Slightly angled, that one that way and that one that way slightly, and we got the sucker on the side now, as you saw before, now to hold it all in place. And I've also put in a piece of rubber tubing, aquarium tubing on there, which sleeved that down so that fits nice and tight onto there now and won't come off, and gives a nice seal. All the joints now are nicely bonded and gone off. So that is now that part of the filtration system all finished. So all it leaves me to do is to stick it in place. That sucker there with that little nice spacer on there off that old filter works spot on for holding it just the right distance, you see, away from the wall, to get a nice central spray either way, either side. So when we put that back in there now, that sticks on there and that sticks on there, and we've got a nice little spray bar now coming across full of holes. That little bit of the hose, sorry, that bit of the line now, the electric wire goes down and seats into that little recess there. So now all I've got to do is cut a nice little lid now for this to hide all that away so we don't get any splashes anywhere. And it's starting to come together now. Be nice to see it full of water and working away, see what kind of volume we get coming out, and what sort of a blade of water we're going to get coming out. Good old swig of the coffee, keep the energy levels right up in the air. And sorry if I went a little bit distant there. I took the mic off and I hadn't put it back on. Right, we're on again now. Hope you heard what I just said. Right, so that's all in place. Now what have I got to do? We've got to flame polish the edge of these. So I've got a little blow lamp somewhere around here. What have I done with that? Aha, there it is. Nice little gas torch. It's not brilliant. I've got to get a new one. It's playing up slightly, and you basically just hold it on there, and then your torch plays up. Now just run it along and you'll see it go clear, and that's all you need to do. It doesn't take long at all. It just very lightly just melts the top layer and leaves a nice crystal clear finish. Right, there you go. I don't know if you can see that now, but that's absolutely crystal clear on the top of there now, you see? Right the way through there, you can see it all the way through. Lovely and clear. I do like playing with this acrylic stuff. Fantastic it is. Right, let's put my little towel back where it should be. Right, now we've got that all nicely done, all polished up, filtration systems built in. I'll tell you what I have got is I've got a couple of these cages kicking around somewhere. I wanted to put something small on the well, not small, but I've got one of these cages which have microfine mesh on them, and that's going to go inside when that's in there. I don't know if you can see it in there, but that's going to go on the bottom to stop all those little baby shrimps getting sucked up inside there. See, it's very fine micron mesh, but that's going to be hidden behind rock work and everything anyway. And I've got to make another sleeve in there because that one, I had this for a big system and I just had them lying about, so I thought I'd use them. You can get smaller ones and thinner ones than this, but this one will do for this system because it's going to be, like I say, it's going to be hidden behind the rock, so we'll be okay with that. Right, now I've got to take this off of here now. I'll pause you for a minute, and we've got to make a lid. Let's make the lid. Right, just been away, saved you all that noise. So I just cut this nice little lid that's now going to fit on there nicely. So we'll just have that nice little box, and all our filtration now is going to be hidden inside. So we're going to get that effect, which I think looks quite smart. So when we lift the lid up now, everything's going to be hidden away nicely in the back. And what I have got is my little acrylic hinges. Now I've got to get this all lined up nice and square. Right guys, I've just stuck the hinges on very lightly, just on the corners on the bench, and I'm going to very carefully, now you've got to be careful when you're gluing these hinges on because that capillary action will suck it straight down and in through them threads as well, so you'll end up with a solid lid. So you've got to be very, very careful and just stick in a minutest little piece, little bit at a time. And just make sure that you don't run away with you. And so we got a nice little lid on there now, guys. Nice little shiny black lid. All the filtration's built in. And that little lid will hold itself up. Same as before, we're going to just do the edges, make sure they're all nice and smooth as well. And that little lid now will stay open like that. And then we get our little filter system again, which we already done. Because of the hinge on the other side, and I'm literally going to stick that facing down instead, so it sucks onto the bottom. Like that. And that will hold it in place. And there you go, it all fits nicely in the back. I'm just going to get my grinder now, and I'm just going to grind a little piece out of there, and then that should, like that, then will close up nicely in the back. So I'll just take that out a minute. Alright guys, we're all done. Got the cable now going through the side, just in the top corner there. You can see that. Filter system, spray bars in, lids all on, drops down, covers it all in, and we're all nice and enclosed now. I've got a slight overhang on there, just because of if any drips or anything. Yeah, it works well. I think that might have to just go down a little tiny bit, that cable. That lid's got a slight bit of bounce in it. Slight bit of bounce. But that's not to worry, we can soon rectify that. There you are. That's better. Now we're nice and all hidden. All the filtration's now hidden. That looks great, I think. Coming on nice. We're getting somewhere, guys. We're getting somewhere. So now I've got to make the lighting. We polished the edges. That's all in place. Filtration system's in place. Now I've got to fix a light to it. Right guys, I've been doing lots of little bits of cutting again, and I've got one of these IKEA lights. Now what I've done is I've stuck one of these acrylic hinges onto the side, okay, like that. Now that's going to go across the top of the tank, so we can lift it up and lower the light back down again like that, you see. But what I've done is I've made like a little shroud casing now to go around it out of this bit as well, so it all stays matching with the rest. And I've just got to put that around there like that, and then we've got it all boxed in. I'll flame polish these edges up afterwards, so they should look a bit better. That's all I had left of the acrylic. I could have gone on the insides with the cuts, but so you wouldn't have seen that. If I'd have made the top one wider, I could have come in underneath with them, but that's all I had left. So we will make do with what we have. Right, so that's got to go on there now. Get the old acrylic glue. And I'm just going to tack it up slightly. And I got the end little piece there as well to go on. What I'm going to do is just going to hang that off of there a minute. That's better. Now we can get to it. Get everything nicely lined up. And just hold that in place for a minute. Give it a nice squeeze together. And that'll bond lovely, that will. Okay guys, there we go. I've made the light, I've put it on. We've got our little acrylic hinge, which is on the end, which I've put on there. I've got a lot of cleaning up to do now on all these little bits, but basically that will now hinge all the way over there and stay all the way out the way like that. The lid comes up. You've got all the filtration now inside, ready to rock and roll. I'll just flip that back over because it's not completely gone off yet. The switch for it's underneath. That's how it looks like when it's lit up. Looks absolutely brilliant so far. We should get some good plant growth in there. And like I say, I've got some clean up to do now, just some clean up around all the edges, all the way around here. Polish up the top, all the lights, all the edges around the top and the filter housing. Keep that all done. But there we are, we're getting somewhere at last. We've got the lights on now. Filters installed, so really now it's just a bit of a test. Fill it up with water, make sure the filters all tweaked out and there's nothing that needs adjusting there. If there is, we'll do that. So next time you see this, I'd have given it a test fill, and then we're going to scape it up then. And we've got lots of plants and media that's still left from the JBL stuff that they sent me for the big desk, for the big bench tank there, which we finished now. So there you go, it's all ready to rock and roll, apart from a bit of a test drive and just iron out any little kinks in that filter system, and we should be alright. And then we're going to fit the back in, the lighting on the back that hasn't actually arrived yet, but when it does we can fit that on the back and start to plant this little guy up and get it cycling. Anyway guys, I hope you like that little third part of the acrylic tank build. It's coming along nicely now. If you're new to the channel, pop back and look at the other videos. May encourage you to subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much for all you guys that are jumping on board now. Subscribers are flying up at the moment. It's absolutely amazing. Anyway guys, as always, you're all stars. Thanks for tuning in. Be safe, and I'll see you on the next edition of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now.
Just me and my guitar.